Welcome to the NDE WORLD Podcast, where we explore the magical, mystical and spiritual world of near-death experiences. And now, Ashton Lewis and Daphne Lynn.
Welcome to the NDE WORLD Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis. In the studio with me, I have my lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. Hello, Daphne.
Hello. How are you?
I am absolutely fantastic and so looking forward to today's episode. I have been waiting for this moment ever since we scheduled it.
I know. I'm so excited about it. We have been working with each other's schedules for quite some time, and we finally got it down pat. Here it is, and I'm so excited. The lady, Miss Nola, is such a beautiful soul. She has such a beautiful story.
Yes. I mean, you can feel her vibrations through the phone. I mean, she's just so beautiful.
She is.
Such
yes.
a beautiful spirit, and it just resonates. I just feel the love tingle all over just talking to her. So
Yes.
it's just beautiful soul. So, but I tell you what, before we jump into the actual interview, let's go ahead and just welcome everybody out. And for those of you who are new, welcome. And those who are returning, welcome back. Don't forget to go to the NDE.world website to get more information about who we are and what we do. Again, that website is
NDE.world.
So without further ado, I don't want to waste another second on this precious Souls episode interview. So if you want Miss Daphne, I say let's go ahead and jump into the interview right now with Miss Nola and share this beautiful story with the rest of the world. How's that sound?
Let's do it.
All right, and we are rolling. Now, before we get started, let me offer my deepest, sincerest appreciation and thanks and gratitude so much for taking the time to come out on the the podcast to share your experience with us, Nola. We are so excited, and we have been looking forward to this since we planned this day. So let me first tell you thank you so much for coming out and sharing your experience with us.
Oh, thank you so very much for having me. And it's been a long time in the coming for myself as well. And I'm just really ready to share, ready to also answer any questions that I possibly can. I won't overstep my boundaries into spirit, but I am here to share this. And this is my primary reason to be here, to share this, to let other people know, to give hope. And I'm just really ready, really ready to start.
Yeah.
Really excited. And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you, and it's been a long time coming for you and us as well. I'm glad schedules finally met up, and we're here now, and so excited and thankful for this opportunity with you.
Yes, very much so. Thank you.
Awesome, no worries. We would like to know, if you don't mind, just to kind of set the stage a little bit, Nola, if you can maybe share a little bit what your life was to what you feel comfortable with, or hit bullet points or whatever, that led up before the actual experience itself, and then we'll kind of maybe go over into the actual experience. If you don't mind, we'd love to hear that.
Sure, love to. As a child, I can say that I never have felt comfortable here. Of course, you don't know how to put that into words when you're a small child. But now, as a just recently turned 63-year-old, I can look back on it now and know that, I went back to where I came from, which answers that question for me now as a child back then. But as a small child back then, the only thing that I knew that I felt was that I don't know, I just felt different. Now I can put it into words. Then it just felt awkward, or maybe a little bit out of place, so to speak, and just a general sense of, I didn't belong.
Right.
But now I know why. Now I can put words to it, as an adult, and especially with the experience that I've had, that, I haven't been from here. I'm not from here. So and that's going to sound kind of maybe strange or odd to some people who may be listening to this, but as I said, now I can put words to that, why I felt that way, more in tune with nature, as you just spoke about, very in tune with nature, very comfortable being out in the woods, making friends with animals.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. At one time, especially one that stood out in my childhood for a part being raised in deep countryside woods, fully wooded area, was making friends with a walking stick. And I did not, it was just, it blew me away then. And I just felt like I was probably, I'd say maybe eight or nine, somewhere in there, pretty young. And, I don't know, just feeling communication with nature,
Yes.
communication with trees, communication with animals, dragonflies, butterflies, birds, just, very close to nature, loving being out in all kinds of weather, any kind of weather. Nothing really fazed or scared or bothered me about, any level of rain or, I just felt safe, protected all the time.
That is wonderful. So many of us have that feeling of not belonging or feeling different and not feeling like we're from here, and not those of us who have not had those type experiences. Unless you really do the research, you wouldn't know why you always felt this way. So with you having the experience and the many others that have, we know that we have returned home and that this place is not actually our home. So thank you for bringing that out. That is lovely that you've had this experience and can share that with others.
Right. I mean, I do want to reiterate that not having that information, not having even the intellectual ability to know, you just get bits and pieces from, the spirit realm.
That's right.
Maybe visions or dreams or something. Even as children, we can have visions and dreams of those types of things. But it's just like a little drop in the bucket. It's like little clues, that give you, as children, little clues of what's going on, who you are, but you're not able to articulate those until you've had a lot more of those life experiences. And also, primarily, visions and dreams as adults. And also, for me, many different spiritual experiences that I've had, but primarily I have to say it was my near-death experience that let me know for sure these things that were questions in my heart.
You got a lot of answers then through your NDE.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And without question, I was raised in a Pentecostal church, a holiness Pentecostal church, and I was born in 1961. Just recently turned 63, as I priorly mentioned. Mm-hmm. And so it was a pretty spiritual environment that I was raised in. So I was not unfamiliar with the unusual, I guess for most, maybe a lot of people, happening in the spirit realm, being raised in that atmosphere where spirit was welcome,
yes.
to manifest in basically, a lot of different ways. So I was not really, too afraid of a lot of things, certain things happening with boundaries, of course, but just for lack of better terms, that's how I would describe that. But it wasn't until my near-death experience, I have to say, that, and what I saw, what I heard, what I experienced, and what I learned, and what I continue to learn from that experience afterwards. And I have had only one near-death experience, but I've had several what is called out-of-body experiences. Some when I was quite young.
Wow.
If I may, how old were you when you had your first out-of-body experience?
Now, many dreams, I'd call them dreams and I'd call them visions, but not a true out of body experience until I was around 9 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that
Yeah,
like? Did you know, or well, yeah, of course you knew something was different, but did you know it
oh
was called out of
yes.
body experiences and what was happening, or was you aware of any of that, or was this kind of like, oh wow, what's going on, or?
No, I knew exactly what was going
Okay.
on.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah, I
Wow.
knew exactly what was going on. Yes. I've never forgotten it.
Wow.
It's vivid in my memory.
And that would all make sense
Hmm.
because you're so tuned in. Like you've been tuned into your spirituality since day one. It sounds like and you were blessed to be able to grow up and make friends with nature and things like that, and be close to nature, what I call source. It's all part of it, and to really
Hmm.
have that spiritual upbringing, and then so we go from there, and then so now as you got older, you said you had were going to the Pentecostal religion church, you said, and that's where you had gotten a lot of your, I guess, spiritual um, experiences and things like that.
Yes, I did have a number of very meaningful, beautiful spiritual experiences in and around that church. The people, just a real family atmosphere. So they let you just be yourself pretty much. And I'm glad, I'm thankful that I was raised in that atmosphere. There's things that I have since learned that I do not still incorporate within my life, but the fundamental part of that is still very much a part of my belief system. Yes.
Understood. Yes, it's what makes you you. Yeah, I totally understand.
Uh,
Totally understand. So now, if we can kind of like fast forward a little bit, we're so excited. So whenever you're ready, if you want to kind of maybe go into your story and your experience, and we'd love to hear it. We'd would so love to hear it if you don't mind.
I would absolutely, I would love to. I have waited so long to do this in this type of forum, and
Awesome.
I'm just really grateful. I'm thankful. I just I know that it's going to fall on all the ears that need to hear it. I
Yes.
just
Yes.
I have no doubt about that. So it's my pleasure, absolutely, and thank you for having me again. Um, I will start in the year prior to. I'm going to leave out some faces and names, so we'll just put it that way.
Perfect.
Sure.
But there were some traumatic things that happened, in my life, and I had been questioning my faith. I had been really questioning my faith about, what I had believed in up until that point of some, really traumatic life events, which happened to all of us.
Right.
But when they first start happening, as a young adult or whenever they start happening, I did at least, maybe we all don't, but I think a lot of us do. I did question my belief system, and I was pretty angry. I know now that it was all orchestrated for my soul's growth, absolutely no question, and it could not have happened in a better way.
Hmm.
Although then it was just almost unbearable. And a lot of those things are still being worked out, but now I know why, and all of this will make sense in a little bit. So I was very much questioning the faith that I had had, and kind of like, and this is for a lot of people who are going to be listening to this part here, especially, I think. Why are all these horrible, bad things happening to someone who has had nothing but the best intentions and done the best things to the best of a human's ability? Why? So there must not be a God. And fast forward through a whole lot, a whole lot. I was to the point where I was saying boldly, directly, if there is the God, if you are out there, which I didn't even know why I was verbally saying it, because I didn't believe that there was, but just in case there was, I was saying, you can leave me alone. And I said it boldly. I said it often. And when I felt like I said it for the last time and I was not going to have any other conversations, that's it. That was the last time I was going to do any communication. And that was it, that I just wanted to be left alone. I'm better off without any of that. Things started happening in my life. And this will be a fast forward for sure, but if anyone has questions, but it's just details, so I'll leave certain parts of that out. I was diagnosed with cancer, and for some reason, looking back on that now, I had complete peace and calm through that whole process. I remember, vividly being in that room. I remember the doctor's face, and he was a doctor that I had gone to for a long, long time. He was Canadian. He knew me. I knew him very well. We had been in that partnership for a long time, many years. So I took note of his expression and his verbiage and his passion and everything that he had in the room on that day. So, but through all of that, I just felt complete peace and calm, and it just felt like it was thick in the room, just this peace through it. And even though I had been expressing that and living that way that I just previously described, during that time in that room with that peace, I said, well, God, just have whatever your will is in this, so be it. And I'm good with whatever it is. I was not afraid. So just within a few days, at most a week, it's been since 2004. So it was no more than a week. I had that surgery that completely removed every female reproductive organ that lays on your back, and you can take note of that, listeners. Those organs lay toward the back, and you're basically disemboweled, and then they stick it all back in after taking them out. But my doctor said, if you wake up and the surgery is vertical, you have cancer, and you'll be going to one of the major cities for chemotherapy. And but when you wake up, if it's horizontal, like my previous one had been when I was 18 years old, so it was a cut on top of a previous cut from much earlier, then you don't. So whenever I woke up, I was in the room. At that time I don't remember waking up. I remember being wheeled into the operating room, and then I remember waking up in the private room, and I said a prayer, and I reached down, and if it wasn't at my chest, the bandages, then I knew that I didn't, So I did not have cancer. I woke up from that surgery, and I did not have cancer. So 3 weeks later, after that surgery, I was in the doctor's office to have those staples removed. And I was so happy because they were really ready to come out. And so I had those, a 14-inch, 13-inch cross cut. I had all those staples removed. And it just felt so freeing. So I was really having a good day. The sun was out, kind of like today after a lot of cloudy days. And I was having a really good day. But then one of the assistants came out and said, we need to see you in the back room for a consultation. And it sounded pretty ominous. And so I went back, and I'm cutting a lot of this short. So I went back into the consultation room, and they said, well, we read your other MRI, and I had been having extreme, excruciating back pain for weeks before the surgery that I had just had. And I think they were thinking that that back pain would disappear with the surgery, but it didn't. But I really knew that it wouldn't. I knew that it was something else. And I was doing pretty hard, strenuous physical labor for my income as a single person at that time. And I had an incident happen at work where I drove myself to the hospital, and it was a nightmare. It was a horrible nightmare. I was overdosed. I had highs everywhere, and it was really serious. So several times in here, I was, kind of like brought back from the brink of the beyond. But when they took me back into the consultation room, they said, we read your MRI from before, you had the surgery, and you have a ruptured disc, and you have to have surgery right away because it's lying in your spinal column. So I had gone through all of those weeks before, the surgery, the diagnosis and the all of that, before the complete hysterectomy, plus the complete hysterectomy with those organs laying on my back, toward my back, with a fully ruptured disc that was lying in my spinal column. And that's what was causing the extreme nerve pain down my left side, which I still have to this day, and it's worsened. But I'll come back to that later. So I was in shock, like, what in the world is going on? I was really hoping with them that it was the end. It was the beginning of the end of all this horrible things happening in around 2003, 2004. So I went in. It was immediately. And when I awoke from that surgery, and this is cutting that short again, there's a lot in there that a lot of people might want to know, but for consideration of time, when they were attempting to wake me up, and here's where it starts, the actual NDE experience, my body from my neck down went into grand mal seizures, as if my physical body was just going to filet-o off of the table. I was cognizant, as I am right now speaking, from my neck up. Everything was just normal, connected. Like right now I'm speaking with my hands, and I know that my brain is controlling, my hand movements. But at that time, my brain was aware that I had absolutely no connection with, like, from my neck down. I had no connection with my brain. And my body was just going crazy. And it was a full grand mal seizure. So at that time, my spirit left my body, or some people say soul. I use them interchangeably, spirit and soul. But it was my soul, my being, who I am, left my physical body through my chest area, and I was up by the ceiling. Like a lot of people say, that happened to me. I was up by the ceiling, and I was in absolute complete peace. Nothing that I had felt ever felt like that. And I still choke up even though it's been 20 years ago. So I was looking down, and I could see my body. I knew it was my body. I've listened to a whole lot of other people's NDE experiences, and some people don't know it's their body, which I don't really understand, but everybody has a different experience because we're all unique, precious individuals. But I knew that it was my body, and it was just like like you take off a coat or a robe or a jacket, an outerwear, and just kind of, put it to the side or fling it to the side, like, it was unimportant to me. I was appreciative for that body. I'm just trying to describe a few things that were going through my soul mind at that time. I was grateful to that instrument or shell for hauling me around and being so accommodating, to me. All of that time, I was a feeling of gratitude and thankfulness to that vehicle, but I had no interest. It was a thank you, it was a gratitude, but I didn't feel really necessarily a loving. It was grateful and thankful, but it was not very much attachment there. I'd have to say I could leave it much more than I could take it, so to speak, easily. And I felt no pain. I felt no wonderings, no misgivings, no angst. no fear, and nothing but complete peace that can't even be described with words. I can say that word peace, but you can be in the most serene environment, with waterfalls and mountains around you, but there's, with a light breeze blowing and no radio, no television, no other sound but nature. But there's nothing like that peace that I felt. And also, I'd like to say here that I kind of wanted to get a hold of the nurse that was just going berserk because she lost it. She lost her marbles.
Oh.
when I went into the grand mal seizure, she was really loud, and I won't say the way she sounded because she just really lost it. And I wanted to tell the healthcare professionals to just don't try to play God at that time when those things happen. Just go through the routine of what you've been taught to do, and they're either going to pass on or not. Then it's not dependent on you, the healthcare professional. So, don't get too bent out of shape about it, and just keep your wits about you, and try to be as quiet as possible for them because they can hear a pin drop. They can hear everything.
Right.
And, I would like to kind of throw that out there to the healthcare professionals, if there's any of those that will ever listen, that it's a great appreciation to those people if a calmness is kept. So that's that.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, I didn't have a tunnel. I didn't have a sense of any kind of transition or anything like that. I didn't hear any whooshing. I'm just thinking of all these different things that I've heard from others, NDEs, which in the past I'd questioned, why didn't I have this or that, which seemed to be common. And then I've just come to understand that I had exactly, with no deviation, I had exactly precisely what I needed. So I don't miss any of that, and I don't question that anymore. But I just appeared in another dimension, and it was vast. It was absolutely massive. I can't describe how big it was, but I felt cocooned in the middle of this dimension that was like a bluish black. It was not completely black. I've heard the black void, but I use that term because it's an understandable place of where a lot of people say they go. But void it doesn't really fit for me because it was far from being void. Far from being void. It was full. It was cram packed. It was nurturing. It was holding. It was soothing. Everything that you could possibly think that's positive is what it was. No pain. It was perfect in temperature. It was perfect in fragrance. It was everything. I like clean. And so to me, it was like the perfect amount of sterile. I don't know. That might sound strange, but that's part of it that stuck out to me. And it was, not like sterile, like, I can't really describe that part too well. But it meant something to me. I'm surprised I even mentioned that because that's a part that didn't really come out to me until sometime later. It reveals its experience over time with how you can process, each thing that happened. You remember, maybe you don't remember it all at once, or at least I didn't. It revealed itself over years, and slowly, gradually, different things come out still to this day, even though it's been 20 years later. So when I was there, I immediately I thought, wow, this is not something that happens to everybody. And kind of like I can't believe this is happening to me. But it wasn't like an afraid, or it wasn't anything negative. It was just a matter of, everything is sort of matter of fact. Yeah, that's the way I describe it. It's just a matter of fact. There's no ill attached to them. It's just matters of fact. It's just the way things are. And it was just completely serene, completely comfortable in every way. So I got familiar with my surroundings first, and I could tell, I could see up and down, right and left, behind me, in front of me. I could see in every direction. And it was all the same color. And it was a color that now I know it was calming. It was calming me because I had just arrived. It was a color and a place that was to calm me, to introduce me, like that. And I could tell, I got the sense that there were boundaries, but they were like light years away. We would say light years away, but there they were very, very, very far away. We might say, here we might say they were light years away, but it was relatively small. It was a relatively small place. I just knew this. But I knew, as far as like distance or whatever, the boundaries were way far away. But then I took comfort in the fact that I knew that there were boundaries. There were boundaries to it. And then I knew that I was in the middle. I was cocooned in the middle of this space or dimension. And then, okay, I kind of, I got familiar with that, and that part seemed to be coming, to an end of that knowledge, taking on the information. And then my focus came to the type of body that I had. And the type of body that I had was like, I guess it would be described as an orb, but it was white. I was pure white, and kind of like movable and shapeable. It was primarily oval, but it could move. I could move, but I didn't have arms or legs. But I wasn't freaked out about it, because the body that I had did much, much exponentially more than my physical body that had arms and legs. There was no comparison to what that body could do, that soul could do, that form could do, versus the form that I came from. There was no comparison. I don't even know how to describe it. It was there's no effort that's taken. You don't take any effort to do it, to accomplish something, or to think something. It's already there. It's just instantaneously there. Yeah. Any information or knowledge, or I don't really remember having a question about that. It was just automatically there. Everything was comfort. So then, after I got familiar with my surroundings and then the type of body that I had, I lifted up my, so to speak, my head. I'll just use what terms that we know now, with this body. My head gradually just kind of lifted up from observing, my body, my form. And I looked off into the distance, long, 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 long way away. It was at that farthest northern, I'll call it northern boundary, because that's the direction I felt like I was facing, to a swirling yellow, gold, orange, and white swirling mass of energy. That's the only way I could describe it. And immediately I said to myself, just as matter of fact, there was no fear, there was no angst or anything. I'm about to meet God. And it was just, from there, things started happening, and I was just quiet. I just observed, and I was just blown away. That energy started coming toward me, and from way, 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 way far away, started coming toward me, and it was coming toward me with such force, such speed. And as it was coming toward me, the different colors fell off, like the gold fell off and the yellow was falling off. And as it came closer to me, it was white, just pure white. This is Psalms 104, verse 2. Who covers thyself with light as with a garment, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain. That explains, that fully explains to a T what I saw during my NDE. And at one point, I remember feeling overwhelmed. And the white light, it slowed down for me. That part didn't reveal itself until later, and I just broke down at that time when I remember how that light, which I know is God, slowed down to accommodate me. It just blows me away. And it just got to me. And it just absolutely just penetrated me completely. Just merged with me. My little teeny tiny white light was just absolutely overwhelmed with indescribable, what we call love. I was the center of attention. Everything was about me. That sounds narcissistic with me saying that, but it was like that space was prepared just for me. That meeting was just for me. And I just couldn't, I don't know, I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't really respond. It was just so overwhelming. And it just, it told me things like this. And I say it because it did not have a human body, you know. It didn't have arms and legs, and it didn't have a beard or a robe or anything like that, like we're taught in church, you know. It was a white light, like of energy, very, very, very powerful energy. And for those who are, well, any religion, but I'm going to speak to the Christians here on this part, that there are so many places in the Bible that we've read all of our lives as Christians that describe this light. And those people that were writing this stuff down, they didn't know how to describe it properly any more than I do right now. You know, I don't have terms available in my vocabulary to describe it. You know, and I try to tell this to a number of different people, and I get overwhelmed, so they get overwhelmed, which is an awkward feeling. But, you know, people who have experienced this type of thing, like visions and over, you know, centuries of time, they were in human forms too, trying to write this down. So it might sound awkward, or it's going to sound through their the vocabulary that they had available to them, you know. And I've heard so many people able to describe these type of things so much better than I feel like I can. But I know that I had it for a reason, so I still try to, even though I feel awkward doing it, because I know that I'm supposed to, and it's my favorite topic. I absolutely love it because it makes me feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. So I continue, you know, even though sometimes I'm looked at kind of sideways, you know, I continue to tell it, and I'm just so grateful for this time. But to continue on that, it told me, God told me, you've always been loved. There's never been a time where you weren't loved. I love you so much that I love you so much. And it was like a microscope, like an electron microscope can get down to atoms. It was like that. It was like God was telling me and going, deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into my soul being. And as that spirit of love, God's love kept just, penetrating my soul being, it was like going so fast through all the levels of me that this flew off and this flew off and this didn't matter and that didn't matter and that was loved, that didn't matter, and every single level was completely loved. And God told me it doesn't matter how deep I go into you, every single part of it is going to be thoroughly loved. And that part just blew me away, And at one point, I remember saying something like, but what about, and it was like, it wasn't, it wasn't even addressed, kind of how maybe in a conversation, it was like, already approved, why are you bothering with things that don't matter? When I thought that, it came to my mind once or twice, and then I left it. Like, I think it came once fully. Well, what about, and I didn't get a chance to finish the sentence, so to speak, the thought. And it was irrelevant. It was completely irrelevant. And it was just all about God's love for me. Then I woke up. I had that experience. Oh, I have to tell this part. I did not ever hear, you have to go back, it's not your time or anything like that. I didn't have anything like that. I was spared that. And I'm glad that I was, because I would not have wanted to hear that at that time, because I didn't have any question that I was staying. There was no question in my mind that I get to stay, I'm here. I'm finally here, and I'm going to stay. So I kind of had a notepad, so to speak, there, kind of had a notepad and a pen ready, and I was resuming the work that I had known before. It was almost like I was versed at a job that I had before there, and I was going to get back to that. I was going to get back to doing that. I was very good at it, and I wanted to do it, and I was just automatically going to gleefully, hop back to it, kind of thing. And I didn't get that chance. I took a sort of a figurative speech. I took a step forward in resuming that, and then I was back in my body in a room, in a private room by myself, and then started an extremely long recovery time, which was excruciating. So it is hard to be back here, but I want to make sure that I do it to the best of my ability. But coming back into these human type things that we experience, frustration, hunger, these responsibilities that seem, and they are pretty irrelevant, but you can't tell a lot of people that, because that's all they live. So that's all they know, They don't understand a lot. So it's just kind of, how do I get into a conversation with them? I'm not like anywhere near that page, but you, in order not to kind of seem foreign or something, you kind of have to engage it, but it seems so awkward. So I'm sure that there's parts that I may have left out in that I'm sure that there's parts that a lot of people may have questions about, and I'm willing to answer as many as I can on those in the future. Sure. I would absolutely love to.
If you don't mind, absolutely. We would love to pick your brain a little bit about this beautiful experience, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I love the experience, the growing up and really just being connected to nature and really being tuned into your spiritual side, and and just being, what's the word I want to say? Just that acknowledgement of your spiritual self and the experiences that you had throughout your life. Even including all the OBEs. I wasn't even aware that you've had the out of body experiences as well. That's awesome. And so now you were having a difficulty at a certain point in your life. You were starting to question your faith or your belief system, should I say? About and I love how you brought it out. How a lot of people ask this question. Many of us, if not all of us, and if you have it, I'm sure you will at some time sooner or later. But why, Nola? Why do horrible things happen to good people? And when you start to question that, because our concept of God is like God is all, God is powerful, God is love, God is everything, then why? And so I can totally understand how it can, really frustrate a person and really kind of make them start to question things. I myself have been through that, and I know Daphne as well, and so many more as well. So just, I guess, asking this question, and like, if there is a God, it almost got to the point where you were feeling a little bit more almost uncomfortable, like you didn't even want to even like deal with God, or I don't know if I'm reading that right, or kind of like wanted to be left alone. Is that right in a sense before all this kind of happened?
Yeah, you're describing that accurately. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And so it was about this time a lot of things started happening, and around the time you were actually diagnosed with the cancer.
Yes, that started happening before I was diagnosed with the cancer. So looking back on it now, I can very confidently say that it was orchestrated to, we'll just put it, simply, save my soul.
Yeah.
It happened to save my soul, and because some people, they will have a resource. They will have a resource because God never, ever, ever leaves anybody empty-handed to get to God. Never.
I like that.
So, but I feel very, very, very grateful and thankful that I had, it's because God knew exactly what I needed. But I feel just like I always feel now, is that I get extra. I'm just very grateful, very grateful, very grateful, and very thankful.
So this kind of led up to eventually you had to have surgery, and and then a little while later you went back in, and you were telling us the part about the assistant came out to tell you about the that they had read the MRI, and give you that information, and that later while you were working that you had an actual incident that it was so intense you actually had to drive yourself to the hospital, and it come to find out you had an actual ruptured disc.
Yes, I drove myself to the hospital with a ruptured disc lying in my spinal cord, and that's the reason why I was feverish and nauseous, but I'm a very strong person, so...
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So I did it.
Oh my gosh. And that was, on top of everything, the surgeries and everything else, so, wow. Oh, that had to be excruciating. Yeah.
Yeah, there's with certain people, I mean, I've heard absolutely heroic, just unbelievable things that human beings have done through, matters of physical pain. One I'm thinking about in particular now, and his near-death experience story just has deeply touched me. I won't mention his name, but he's in the group that I value the most, the NDE group that I value the most, that I'm in on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
he's in that group, and his story has just... I've tried to express how much his story means to me, and he's done that. He's experienced that very same thing. Just what he went through is just absolutely, I think much more than what I just described. I went through. He experienced himself. So
it's beautiful because so many of these stories that we hear from you guys, there's so many synchronicities, and there's so many different harmonies, and there's so many things that's just so it's so connected, and it's not like you hear one person have something, that each person's experience is so specific to that person, and but there's so many commonalities across the board that it's just really amazing, mind blowing.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's comforting too. When you have an NDE, to listen to them, because it's so out of this world. It's so you do kind of question, did that you? I mean, I don't know of anyone who has had a near-death experience who hasn't at some point questioned, well, was it really a dream? And then almost immediately, no, absolutely not. For me, it was definitely not a dream. And I have to say here that I completely agree with the verbiage that's used, that it's more real than walking through our day-to-day life here. It's more real.
Right. And that's what we hear from so many of these experiences. And you said it best. What happened needed to happen for you to grow as a soul. We hear that through so many of these experiencers. And I love the way that you described when you actually went into your experience, that
Yes.
looking back at your body, that you really had no attachments to it. We hear that so much, and it's just like you're ready to just go on to the next phase of life.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. It's so perfectly beautiful. There's no way that a person could get to that point and, I don't know, not want to stay. I know that I've heard a lot of people say that they came back for their children, but still, again, that's for a specific purpose.
Right.
It's not because they knew or they felt inclined, that they only them, in their form could perform that work that needed to be done here. So that's the reason why they come back. But for me, I know that I'm back here for a purpose that only I can perform it in that way, because that's the reason why we're unique. That's the reason why we have to know that we are so very highly valued, because even though there's been, trillions upon trillions of people born on the earth, and will be, are in the, currently, nobody is like you. There's no one ever like you. No one can do exactly like what you can. While I was there, and in what I just described, in the most intense part, there were a couple of things that I left out there's a number of things that I left out for sake of time, but there are two things that I would like to remember to say. And the one is, I felt the favorite, so to speak, or not the favorite, but I felt like the only one. I felt like the only one that ever was. But I have to say that God, I mean, and this is going to be such a minuscule. It's almost ridiculous to even say it, because it's saying it in such a minuscule little pitiful term, that God is big enough to have everyone as their favorite. So, I mean, I stumbled through that, but there it is. That's as good as I can say it. God is big enough for everyone is God's favorite. And again, I say he, because it's the standard, but I had no, there was not a gender. There were equal parts of what we consider male and female when I was there.
Yes.
It was feminine and it was masculine at the same time.
Wow.
Everything that you need or expect or whatever, that's clumsy too. And that's why I think some people just use the term it, because it's not really a she, it's not really a he. But then some people consider that sacrilege to say it. And that's definitely, let me put that out there right now, that's definitely, please understand, that is not the concept behind using that term whatsoever. It's just that it had both what we considered genders, but there's not really a gender. It's just an energy.
Right. Yeah, we totally understand
I love
that.
the way you
Yes.
have presented that. Yeah, that is
Yes.
so in tune with what we share on this episode as well. And a lot of people don't think that, and don't even, because we have been so indoctrinated, through the system about the he and the masculine and things like that. We won't get sidetracked on that, but I totally understand.
I have found for myself that since I have not stopped reading the Bible, and I did hear it described, pretty well, though, that resonated with me by a gentleman about a year and a half ago in response to a comment that I made. He responded back to me and said, reading the Bible now to me after my NDE experience is like reading a comic book, not to be in any way whatsoever demeaning,
Right.
or anything like that. It's just that his NDE experience trumped
Right.
what he could read in the Bible because he experienced it. I mean, he already experienced it. So, in some of those accounts that are in the Bible, that's someone else's account, and he had his own. So
Well said.
I kind of agreed with that. And then also, there was a point when we were merged that I expressed, and it's telepathic, of course. It's not verbal. Everything is just understood. I feel like, I feel at home here. I feel like I've been here before. And God said, yes, this is your home. This is where you were born. This is where your soul was born.
Wow.
Yeah, this is where my soul was spoken into existence. It is right where that was. So, yeah, it was just, and then, whenever someone in the group said, well, you're, when you actually cross over, it's going to be a whole lot different than just your NDE. And I'm like, well, I think I can handle that. I think I can handle that. I think I can handle it being a whole lot more than this,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I could do with that, for eternity. I'd be good with that. And I know, I know that there's going to be a whole lot more because I was just in that one dimension, and there was eternity outside of that dimension that I was in. So, I mean, I was in like a tiny little space, cocooned for that special meeting. So
I was going to actually bring that up, so I'm glad you brought it up yourself. While you were in that cocooned state, you said it wasn't a void, but, just a vast other dimension that was full of every positive and perfect thing that you could think of, from temperature to fragrances and everything. Did you sense while you were in that state any other souls or anything else around you in that perfect state?
it was like glitter. Yes. It was like, but you know how you do a craft, and the glitter is really tiny. Off way, the dimension that I was in was so large. And that wasn't revealed until sometime later. It was, I'm single. I've been single for 30 years. So aside from my work and several other things I do, I spend a lot of time alone. So I do spend a lot of time in communication with God, and I love that relationship more than anything. And just different things have been revealed to me over time. And that glitter could have been, other souls far, far, far away. But I don't know. I really can't put a definite finger on that. I absolutely know what exactly that was. I don't know if they were watching me. I don't know, because I know that experience was made just for me. So I don't know if there was a reason why other souls could have been watching. I don't know. I haven't had that exactly revealed to me yet. But yeah, it had a sense of glitter, like lights were far, far, far away. That's all that I can. I know what you're talking about, though, and I have suppositions, but until it's revealed to me to where I can say that I know, then I won't put words to that, But yes, it was like it had a glitter, where lights were far, far, far away.
Wow, that is amazing. And while you were in that energy state, you said you were a pure white oval energy mass, like an orb.
Yeah, it was kind of like a little cloud. Like you can parts of a cloud you can kind of see through them, but then it changes. It wasn't like, it's hard to describe. It wasn't like, well, I've heard it described. Some people say smoke, but I wouldn't call it smoke. But that's a term that I've heard people use.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely white, yes, and it was definitely oval, but it could change forms. Like a circle or nothing geometrical. Everything was really soft, and round.
Yeah, I've heard that the different changing of the form of the energy.
I was curious, Nola, that I hear this a lot, and I've always been fascinated with this phenomenon, and you actually was able to experience it. So I would love, if you don't mind, just what it was like. This 360 vision, where you see up, you see down, you see back, you see forward, left, right, you see everything. We hear that, in some of the NDEs. And so what was that like? Because we're here, we're really limited. We've only got such a certain limited peripheral, view, I guess. But what's it like coming from this perspective and only can see so much like in front of you, or a little bit to each side, to the point where there's nothing restricting and you're able to see everything from all perspectives. I mean, what was that like?
Well, one thing that comes to my mind right away is, sometimes, whenever I'm getting up there in chronological age for a human being. I just turned 63, and so arthritis can set in and stuff like that, and sometimes my neck is hurting, especially like when you're trying to drive and you need to see on the sides and everything for safe driving and things like that. And still, my mind thinks, well, if I had my soul body, that wouldn't be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that, whenever you have an NDE, it comes up in your mind. And so it's not like just bam, you were in your NDE and just bam, you're not, because it stays with you. So sometimes I'll, oh my gosh, that hurts so bad, to try to look behind me to see if it's safe driving, or, whatever it is. You can't see back there, and, so I think, that wouldn't be a problem. If I was in my soul body, that wouldn't be a problem. And it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Just to put it in a word, it's absolutely awesome. Because I just put it like this, because there's no secrets. There's no secrets. You can see everything. You know everything. You can see everything. And it's not freaky. It's not, there's nothing that's scary. That's just how it is. And it's really, really, really awesome.
Wow.
It's undescribably awesome.
So now the creme de la creme.
Yes.
You're here, and off in the distance you see this beautiful. I think you mentioned like swirling yellowish golden white light, massive energy type in the distance, and you had a sense of what was going on, and you had a sense of what you knew who this was, right?
Oh yes. I've heard some people say, I didn't know what it was, or it wasn't clear what it was, or it wasn't clear what it was yet, or just different things, because we're all different.
Yeah.
We're all just different. But that's one thing that, yeah, I knew right away. For me, that's what it was right away for me. I said to myself in my soul form, I'm about to meet God. I'm about to meet God. And that's all I could say.
Is that knowing? Yeah. Wow. Wow. So the light gets closer, and actually had to start to I guess, get larger. And I like how you had put it. It was all kind of different colors, but as it got closer, those colors started kind of falling off, and then it started to get like this pure bright light, and then it just kind of, I guess, for lack of words, I don't know how to put it, just kind of took you over, and you was just that oneness with that love, that spirit, that like you felt like you were the only person out there. And I can only imagine what that felt like, and that just that feeling, because all of us as humans, it's in all of us, Nola. We all want that connection. We all want to be loved. We all want to feel like something, or feel like a part of somebody or something, and just to know that you actually really felt that true, pure essence of who you are, and that oneness with, the source. It's just amazing, and wow, I don't know how you could even find the words to put in that, but that's so beautiful.
I know one thing, I mean, there's many reasons why that happened for me, with me, to me. And one of them is that I can never, ever again say there's no God, no matter what happens. And I wouldn't want to. I mean, there's no way. I mean, I can't, it's not even part of any conversation,
Wow.
if there's a God or not. And yes, the bad things happen to grow our souls.
Well said.
Yes.
And they're for a reason. And I feel preachy when I get to this part, but I can't help it because it's one of the biggest lessons. I mean, if not the biggest lesson of being a human, the worst things that we can think of that happen to humans are to develop into, as close as we can in human form, our soul inside this shell, to be as close to God's love, which is, I describe it sometimes like this because it gets through to some ways of thinking, that while I was there, it was like God had a codependency love toward me. That doesn't even make sense to me to even say that, because I'm just one human being and I have many flaws. As I said before, that was one thing that it didn't really, it's a whole lot to process, I mean, that it even happened, number one, and then going into detail, it kind of reveals its self, I mean, through our family things, our job things, our health things, that we're dealing with, the NDE reveals over time. And I'm glad for that, that it does keep revealing itself, and it's just alive all the time. It's just more and more and more every time, because we're so small, we're just so minuscule compared to what happened to us.
Right.
So it just absolutely blows my mind, that, I started to feel overwhelmed. Not like a fear, not like, not any kind of fear. It wasn't related to fear at all. It was just pure even in my soul form, God's power overwhelmed me. And, that doesn't surprise me really, but I was being overwhelmed. I don't, the way that I could use words here is a feeling of faint, a feeling of being faint.
Wow.
And God slowed down. I will slow down. I can't wait to get to you, but I will slow down for you because you're feeling faint.
Wow. That
Can
is
you
beautiful.
imagine? I mean,
yes. Oh my gosh.
Wow, that moves you, doesn't it? That's beautiful. Wow. Now, just kind of like a little side note. You had mentioned it here, and I was kind of curious because I do hear this a lot, and it may be kind of conflicting with a lot of views out there. But I just want to kind of ask you, and like I said, we hear this with NDEs as well. that you had mentioned that God, this experience that you had, it didn't really have a human body, or like you said, the arms, legs, or the beard, like a lot of religions per se may teach or something like that. And what we get a lot from these near-death experiences was exactly like you're describing it, just that essence, that energy, that light, that, you know. But the beauty of it, what I really appreciate about it, it has the power came in and just kind of took over everything and made you, like we had mentioned earlier, just feel so loved and so special, and telling you that, you know, there's never been a time that you've never been loved. You know, I've always loved you. You know, I love you so much. And the love was so, you know, so penetrating, and just really your soul, you know, and your being. And the part I love here is that, you know, he said that every single part of you is love. Now, how would you, from that little part that I just read, or just was asking that you had shared with us, taking that feeling and that experience, that one-on-one, and you're the only one there, and that love that God loves you and shared with you, how would you share that, or is there anything you can share with the listeners out there from that perspective to let them know how they are viewed and the Creator's eyes as well? I don't know if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, how would
Yes.
could you share something like that to maybe those that listening?
Oh, just exactly the same as I described. They're loved just exactly the very same way that I described, without any difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely, to the very core and beyond, because all of your particles, like my particles that I described, you know, that were just, I see that and I love it, okay. I see that and I love it, okay. That's exactly the way that God loves everyone, every single one, no matter how bad they've been. And I'm convinced of that. Now, I don't, you know, and that's, yes, I believe thoroughly that God loves every human being exactly like I described.
I love the way you said that.
Yes.
Beautifully said. Yes, yes. So we're at the point now where you pretty much had this beautiful experience with the Creator, and I guess eventually here you woke up. Did you, when you came back from that experience, Nola? Did some people, they feel like they were like, I don't want to say slammed into the body for lack of words, but did you feel
No.
anything, and some say they just they just didn't feel anything. They just kind of like transitioned back. Was you, when you came back out of the experience back into our, I guess, reality for lack of words, is all reality in a sense, but you know, when you came back from that experience, was it just pretty much easy transition in and out?
I didn't have any slamming back into my body. Now, there was quite a bit of pain. I had 2 major surgeries within 3 weeks of each other.
Oh.
So, I mean, it was extremely excruciatingly painful for a very long time afterwards. And I still have results. Yeah, I still have physical results quite a bit. But I'm grateful, you know, that I came back and I can walk. Really, probably, but for the grace of God, you know, I can walk. It didn't lie in my spinal cords. God spared me from being, like, you know, paraplegic or anything that happened, you know, permanently with my brain. I have, you know, cognizance, and I'm grateful, very grateful for all of that. But I use that to remind myself of where I've been and what I've seen, you know. It's painful, and some days it's very hard, but it's nothing that I can't get through, and it's a good reminder, a very good reminder of what happened to me. So
It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful story. And, you know, the stories we hear like this, it's like, you know, like you said, this has happened back in, 2004. And that's, you know, what, 20 years ago. And it's
Right,
like,
20
it's like it
years.
was yesterday. You know, we hear from these guys that have these experiences. It's like, yeah, it's just like, it's so vivid, so clear. And, you know, that's pretty much kind of like what you were sharing with us earlier. You said it's like it was yesterday, you know, or it's just happened, you know. So, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is so awesome, so awesome. Well, how have you been feeling since then? Are you okay, Nola? As far as like,
Sometimes it's
certain,
very, very, very hard to be here. I will
yeah.
say that. Some people understand that,
Uh-huh.
but some don't. Well, they might say something like, "Well, I really love my family," and or I really love my grandchildren, or I really love traveling, or just whatever it is. But to me, none of that trumps what I mean. I trade it off in less than a heartbeat. I trade off any of that, anything that I've experienced here, and I have an absolutely beautiful, perfect daughter, and that holy experience with having her. It just, yes, it was a holy experience having her. But anything that I've had here in the human, I would, if I knew that I was going to go like right now, I wouldn't have a problem with that. If I knew that I was going to go tomorrow, I would be up all night.
Excited for it.
I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait.
Wow.
Right.
I just couldn't wait.
Right. When we can release our attachments to everything, we tend to grow as a soul. And it sounds like you have done a lot of growing since your experience and through the different life lessons that you've been through. The NDE was also a life lesson. So it helps you to grow as a soul. And I love the way you brought that out earlier. My question, I guess, now is, since you had your experience, how long was it after your experience did you first share it, and what kind of response did you get from the people you shared your experience with?
Well, part of that, part of the answer will be because of the year that I was born in. I was born in 1961, and that was still in a time where now it was just coming out, but it was, I think, a lot of people had talked about them, by 1961. But I was born in 1961, and that was still kind of
Still kind of new.
you didn't, you weren't, there weren't a whole lot of places where you could just really, come out with something like that and feel very comfortable. And also the atmosphere that I was raised around, a lot of people would have frowned on very many parts of what I just said.
Right.
And I know some precious people that I absolutely love to the core, and will hug and squeeze no matter what, no matter how they feel about me. It won't matter because I know what happened, and no matter what they might think or how they might believe about it, that's what happened to me personally. So I can't really, take that back.
Right.
I'm speaking it all to the best of my ability, So I did not share that in its entirety. I just shared little bits and pieces. And it wasn't really to test their water.
Right.
It was more to test my water, because it was so impactful to me that I even had to find words, which I still haven't, but I have to. I have to try.
Right. And that's very common, Nola. That is so very common that people have a hard time describing things that happen to them throughout their NDE. Even they're saying overwhelming love when you meet and merge with source energy. Even that is hard to describe, the overwhelming, because it's just hard to describe.
Yeah, right.
We don't
It's
have the terms. We have limited terms
Human expression.
in our human
Like that.
experience.
Yes.
Yes.
They're very feeble to describe things like that. Um, I do feel that there are a lot of people who have had, the indie experience, and they just, it's so overwhelming that they haven't, maybe they never will this side of the veil, or maybe they just don't know how to describe it, or maybe they have a hard time just coming to terms with that may have happened to them, so they kind of try to push it back or something. But I think a lot more people have had similar experiences. No two are going to be alike.
Right.
Right. No two are going to be alike. So, but I do think that more people have had this type of experience than have, come out with it. But I'm very grateful to be in this time where I do feel comfortable, And also, you have to get to a point in your own life, no matter what age you are, but age does help it, to feel more comfortable in your own skin, to where you are so much more confident in yourself that you just know how to describe things that happen to you, and it matters, but it doesn't really ultimately matter who believes what you're saying or not,
Right, yes.
I mean, so that's where I am, and I'm just so very grateful that I finally got this opportunity because, as I mentioned before, I've been approached many times, but it just never seemed like the right time or the right forum. And I'm just so very grateful for the two of you. You're just so accommodating, and so it's just a pleasure speaking with you. And I'm just, I know over the next several days, I'm just going to become, more and more full of gratitude for this time. And, your love and your patience and your support, it's always going to mean just the world to me. So thank you.
Yes.
Well, Nola, you are such a beautiful soul, dear love. And we thank you so much for sharing your time with us, sharing your experience with us. And I can't wait to get this thing out and let people hear this. And I feel your love, just even through the phone. Just that's just for what it's worth. That's you've got such a deep appreciation for the deeper things in life, and we love you and appreciate you for coming out. And if you don't mind, we've got maybe just a couple of more closing questions we'd like to ask, just to kind of wrap things
Sure.
up. And
Absolutely.
Sure.
As much as you want.
Okay, perfect. One that kind of comes to my mind, just kind of off the top of my head, how has this overall experience? How has it affected your perception or your outlook or your view of the afterlife, of where do we go from here? How has this experience really maybe influenced your thoughts now, maybe compared to what you did before, and has that changed in some kind of way? If you could share that with us.
Well, I've heard it a number of people, and my heart always goes so much out to those who say, well, what are we going to do for eternity? Aren't we going to get bored for eternity just floating around in peace?
Oh my gosh, I've heard that. This is
Yes.
crazy.
I know, and I just, well, my heart goes out to them very much, because, you don't want to, it kind of sounds demeaning to say, well, you have no idea,
Yeah.
that doesn't cover it. It doesn't cover it to say, well, you just have no idea. You got to rethink that. Well, they can't because they don't have any base. So it's a legitimate question.
You're
And
right.
but I would say to that, oh my goodness, there's so much more than what I mean. Even to the person who's had an NDE, that's a teeny tiny little minuscule, not even a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, if we are describing this and all of the people who have come out and described all of their experiences with NDEs, I mean, that's a very minuscule example of what all we're going to be experiencing it. And it's endless.
I love how
And
you said
so
that.
it's okay. We are definitely not going to be bored. Put that aside. Just
Wow.
we're not going to be bored. You're going to have fun. it's going to be perfect. And, you know, we will not miss, you know, getting into any kind of mischief. So,
Yes.
you know,
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I guess my question now is this is you were saying as you were growing up that you were very in tune with nature, communicating with the different plants and animals and everything. Um, have you noticed since your experience any changes in your intuition or communications with life in all forms?
yes, yes, deeper communication, you know, to put it simply, deeper communication, more intuitive.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And we hear that a lot that, you know, a lot of people come back from their experiences with spiritual gifts, like, you know, being able to see spirit forms, being able to communicate with past loved ones, just their intuition deepening in their communications. So there's beauty in that you have even grown even more closer to source and that intuition that is in all of us.
Yes, yeah, I do absolutely believe that it's in all of us, and that we just choose to develop them.
Correct.
You know, whatever we put our energy toward developing, then, you know, God is going to gift us with what we're asking for, you know,
Yes.
as long as it serves purpose.
Yes, exactly.
Very well said. Very well said.
Yes.
Well, Nola, I've got two more final questions I'd like to ask you, and then we can go ahead and maybe go ahead and wrap things up. And I can't thank you enough again for
Yes.
taking the time to share your experience with us. But I'd like to ask you, what is God to you?
Everything. Um, the beginning, the end. From everlasting to everlasting. The great I am.
Beautiful.
That's God. And more. And I mean, that could go on forever.
Yeah.
Forever. But yeah, everything. The creator, everything. The beginning, the end. The reason why we're talking now. Hope, peace, perfection in every single way, even through hard times. Utter perfection. No, nothing in between. Nothing. Just utter perfection.
Would you feel comfortable saying mother, father?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Mother, father, sister, brother. Absolutely, yes. Best friend.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And one more question, dear. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna let you get back to your normal life there, and hopefully, we can get this thing out and just share this beautiful story with everyone.
Oh, I'm going to have a hard time sleeping tonight just thinking about it. It's been so wonderful.
It has. It has.
Yes.
And my final question, I don't know if it's a question or a statement, but are there any final words or final comments that you would like to leave for our listeners?
You just took my question to her.
Oh, well, I'll answer to both of you beautiful people.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just absolutely delightful, just beautiful. I just love this. I've really, really enjoyed this. I want to do another one.
Sure.
Yes.
Beautiful. Sounds
We'll
good.
have you on
Awesome.
anytime.
Anytime. Yes.
I had questions because I had a lack of information. I was lacking information, and that's why I had questions. Was there a God? Or, since there isn't one really, just, leave me alone kind of thing. I have no questions. I have no question. There is a God. There is a God. And I have absolutely no question in my mind that there is an eternity.
Beautifully said. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Nola, I can't, on behalf of the NDE World Podcast, can't thank you enough, dear, for
Yes.
really sharing your experience with us and taking the time out of your schedule. And I know we've all got lots of things going on, but you made that time, and You really stuck to your word since day one, and we were
Yeah.
looking forward to it since day one, and you came through and fulfilled that for us, and I can't thank you enough, but I do on behalf of the podcast. Thank you so much, dear.
Yes.
Oh, I feel definitely that I should be the one saying that. But thank you. Thank you so much. It's really meant the world to me, to be able to do this. And I'm just absolutely, thoroughly, absolutely thrilled with this time. And both of your just absolutely beautiful spirits and your patience through it. And you did it quite well. You did it very, very, very well. And I so appreciate it. Just very, very grateful.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. You are such a beautiful soul, Miss Nola, and we love you so much. And thank you for coming on. And we would love to have you on again. Maybe share some of your OBEs or something with us. Just
Anything.
Just
It doesn't
anything.
matter.
Yes, exactly.
Just love it. You just got such a beautiful
Absolutely. I
spirit.
would absolutely love to. Anytime. Give me a call anytime.
That
Anytime.
sounds great.
sounds-
I would love it. If anything comes to your mind, yes, please do.
Most
No
definitely.
question.
I think
Alrighty. Have a beautiful evening.
You as well. And we love you so much. And may peace be with you. And thank you so much again.
Yes.
And you have an awesome
Yes.
day.
And you too. I love you so much.
All right.
Yes,
Well, thank you
you
so much,
too.
dear. Well, take care of yourself.
Alrighty, you too.
Okay.
I know
Alright.
you will.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. And there you have it. The one
Wow.
and only Miss Beautiful Nola and her awesome near-death experience story. Wow. 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 What a beautiful story. What a beautiful soul.
yes. And it so ties in with every one of the NDEs we've heard.
It's so in harmony. Oh
Yes.
my God. Daphne, any kind of highlights or comments that kind of sticks in your mind? I mean, besides all of it. I mean,
Yes, I know. There's so much.
That's what I'm saying. All of it. It's just like, man, wow.
All just makes perfect sense. There's such harmony in all of this. But I think one of the most beautiful aspects of this whole interview was the fact when she said, I'm about to meet God here. And that energy, that source energy is male and female, but yet at the same time neither. And we have been hearing that and through our review episodes, we've experienced that. But now,
You heard it right from my direct source.
Yes,
That's what I love about all of
exactly.
this. This is not a book we're reading here. This is
Right.
our sister. This is a beautiful soul that's actually sharing an actual experience.
Yeah, and we've done the episodes with people with out-of-body experiences, and it's a little different than people that have actually had NDEs. So I love
A lot of times
her
they go
story.
hand in hand, though. There are the out-of-body experiences that are, directly associated with the actual near-death experience as well. So. they
Oh
go
yeah,
hand in hand.
yeah.
But like you said, they do. Sometimes people do have them on their own without the NDE. But
Right.
for
That's
the
what
most
that's what I
part,
was
yeah,
referring to. Yes,
they
sir.
are connected. So beautiful. And me as well, Daphne. That's one of the first things I think of. And I love how Nola brought it out. How source is all. Source
Yes.
is the masculine. It is the feminine. I love the part about the 360 vision. Where she was
Yeah.
able to. See up, down, around, left and right, behind, that phenomena has always been something that really fascinated with me as well with the actual NDEs.
Yes, and the communication.
And the communication and actually
The
having
telepathy,
that experience with the creator and just being enveloped in that love. Imagine what it's like to feel like you're the only one out there and you are the only one loved, and it's just like, wow. It's amazing, and I love how she brought it out. That source feels the same way about each and every one of us
Yes.
as individuals, and loves everybody
No matter what we've
inside
done.
and out.
Yes.
And that's right, And there's it's not a matter of loving no matter what you've done. It's a matter, of course, it's a matter of that. But you still want to make right decisions in life.
Of
and-
course,
and,
yes.
Do things
I
with
get
the
that.
proper mindset and do things with love and harm none, and because there is that cause and effect, there is that law.
Right.
So there is going to be things, and and we hear different stories from like life reviews to there's so many ways that can be handled and worked out. But the point is yes, the source is an unconditional love, and she was able to experience that that unconditional without any kind of conditions.
She said that it was source, that energy was accommodating to her.
I know.
That it was, it was coming at her, the forceful, and then it slowed down for her to, accept that, hey, this is happening. It was very accommodating.
Could you imagine that, though? You have the source of everything. And here it is, we're just little old us, and here it is, Nola's there, and then like anticipating kind of, she knew what was going on in that sense, but here it is, gets closer, and that and when it envelops and it just takes over, and
that merged,
love,
yes.
I also heard it move her a little bit in her voice, a little bit.
I did, yes, several times.
Yeah, we heard that, Nola. We know that, baby. We heard it and felt it with you.
Yes,
So,
we felt it with you.
yeah, so anyway, it's such a wonderful story, such a wonderful experience, and I can't thank you enough, Nola,
Yes,
for coming
thank
out
you.
and sharing your experience with us. And hopefully we'll be able to do some more in the future. If you got anything else you guys want to do, we'll get together and do some more podcasts. It was so such an experience, and I totally appreciate everything, and send my love and my peace out to Nola, and to all the listeners out there as well.
Yes,
So,
oh my gosh.
So, Miss Daphne, I guess before we wrap up, is there any kind of final words? I'm still kind of high on this episode, so I'm gonna be riding off of this high for a while.
Yeah, looking forward to more. I think we've really established a true friendship in this, and I love the fact that we realize that we're all one.
Yeah.
And that energy is part of all of us, and loves all of us. So
Absolutely.
I think we're on our own worst critic, so we have to stop criticizing ourselves and realize our own divinity.
And know that God loves you all.
Yes.
Loves us all, because God is love. We love you so much, guys. May peace be with you all. Until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
For more information about the NDE World Podcast, visit nde.world. That's nde.world.